Hello, it's me, Crazy Rebecca, Dances with Pitbulls. I got some weird light going on here. It's kind of a weird time for me to be filming. I wanted to give you an update on these burgundy blocks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mostly done. I just need to, can you see it? This, I need to finish like right there. This, because of where the seam's going to lie, I'm calling that done. I crocheted a chain of ribbon for this rose and I just wrapped it around and tacked it down as I went. Got the sequins, the buttons, a little rose bead on some kind of funky sequin. So I'm using this motif a lot. I'm using these beads a lot. I've done that on this side too. On this cluster, I gathered this ribbon and made it into a rosette or a yo-yo or whatever you call them. Put a little red plastic bead flower with a bead center. That's a cloisonne bead I got from Fire Mountain Gems. A piece of lace motif that I cut out. I didn't do anything here because of the fancy on the velvet. I don't know what these are supposed to be, but hey, sometimes it just happens, right? So let's put those two together. Somebody suggested black velvet sashing, but I haven't found any affordable black velvet yet, but I still might. But those look good together. I think I'll put that way. Yeah. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Okay, this cluster was a button, a spiderweb rose, which are not worth the time and trouble to me. Some little pre-made roses, a plastic flower, some sequins, those rose beads. This was a wide ribbon. I folded it in half and gathered it and then sewed it down and then put these flower beads on top of it. This was from Renee, this trim. I had to sew it down. What was that? Something happened in there. Yeah. More flowers. There's that 3 loop thing again. This was another Cretan stitch laid on top of the original Cretan stitch. So let's put that in the mix. Yep. Let's see what I put it that way. I'm kind of making the leaves go up and to the side. So that brings us to this one. This was like the original one I started with. These are crystals and they're really shiny. Really, actually very shiny. Definitely very shiny. Let's see, we're going to go this way. This cluster is a button, a concertina rose, you'll have to look that up, another cloisonne heart, those flower sequins, button, button. So 3 buttons on that one and a bead. See, I don't know if I want to finish that or not because it's a matter of time. I don't think it's going to matter. See, I didn't finish that either. Because there's enough to look at, like right in the middle of them, you know? Okay, this one I have started. And look what I did to the leaves. I put these little green things. I may go ahead and do that on all of them. This is heavy on the buttons here, and then because that's a button, and then a group of 3. Yeah. So I hope this helps you do clusters because, like, start with a big embroidered flower, put a big button, then build out from there. This one does not have the leaves on yet, and I think I'm going to put something else right there. That's another one of those concertina roses. Button, button. Dragonfly bead. Oh, it's like, This one, I crocheted this. Those are the pre-made flowers, couple of buttons, one of those cloisonne beads. And I just made this up as I went. Here, again, I put those little balls. I don't know. Maybe I'll go darker green on these. And number 9. I painted those white flowers. Started with that. Tucked in these roses. Little tiny flower sequins. Those weirdo sequins. Big button. Bead. So it takes me probably a good hour to do each one. So I have 1, 2, 3, I'm going to call it 4 hours left before we can start. We'll put the interfacing on the back, figure out how we're going to sew them together. So I was thinking, let's see, let's do this one. I have some thread. People want to know how to do this cretin stitch, I think. So let's just do it. Let's overlay it onto this one. Do I want it big or small? Okay. Can I come in a little more? Ah, I can. Okay, quit shaking. You come up. Let's call that A. At B, you go down and come up at C. Keep your thread to the right. Keeping your thread to the right, go down here and come up. You got to keep your thread to the right. at all times. That's what makes it work. Down and up. Down, down and up. Here I've done it with a thicker thread. So let's see, sew some beads on the center of these. What beads shall we use? Got some little pearls. I'm just using regular sewing thread because that's what I have. Oops. So that's how you do that. I like to use like a 3-bead cluster like this. On these flowers I used French knots instead of beads. Also on these. So that's where we stand on these. Please come back. I think this, I'm going to call this part 13. 13. Let's come back out a little bit. Okay, so we are well on our way to finishing this wall hanging. Please let me know what you're working on and what you're doing and what colors you're using, and are you planting tomatoes yet? Ha ha. Some of you southern people might be. If you are, I don't want to know. Now, I do want to know. So anyway, I love you, and let's meet back here again sometime.